The bright lights of the Titan Combat Center flickered against the padded floors. The scent of sweat and ambition thick in the air. It was another day of training, another day of hopeful fighters pushing themselves to the limit. But no one expected that by the end of that afternoon, the loudest sound would not come from a punch landing or a body hitting the mat. It would come from a collective gasp of disbelief. At the center of that moment was not a fighter with gloves on or a coach with years of training under his belt, but a woman holding a mop, her uniform smudged with detergent stains. Her face marked by quiet determination. Before we dive into this extraordinary story, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the hidden strength of everyday people, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel, Kindness Corner. Stories like this remind us that heroes often walk among us unnoticed. Her name was Maris Alvega, a 35-year-old single mother who had been working nights and early mornings to keep the gym spotless. Life had not been gentle with her. Her husband had left years ago, leaving behind only debts and a mountain of responsibilities. With a daughter in middle school who dreamed of becoming a doctor, Marisol knew she couldn't afford to break down. Every mop stroke, every bottle of disinfectant she carried wasn't just cleaning. It was survival. It was her way of keeping food on the table and the lights on at home. The fighters at Titan Combat Center saw her daily, pushing her cart of supplies along the cages, crouching low to scrub the mats where their sweat and blood had fallen. Some respected her quietly, nodding in thanks as they stepped aside. Others barely noticed her presence, their eyes fixed on their reflections in the mirror or the next sparring match. But there was one trainer, a cocky young man named Travis Consincade, who never missed an opportunity to laugh at her. Travis was known for his loud personality and arrogance as much as for his skill. He strutted through the gym as if he owned it, mocking anyone he thought beneath him. Marisol became an easy target. "Careful with that mop, or you might trip on it before you ever learn to fight," he would shout, drawing chuckles from the younger fighters. She endured it quietly, never snapping back, never giving him the satisfaction of seeing her rattled. She had learned long ago that silence was often stronger than words. But that day, fate had a different plan. The gym was buzzing. A crowd gathered as Travis prepared for a public sparring session with one of his students. Marisol was mopping near the edge of the mat when his laughter suddenly boomed across the room. "Hey, Marisol," he shouted, pointing at her. "Why don't you come show us your moves? Let's see if the mop queen has any fight in her." The gym erupted with laughter. Some of the students looked uncomfortable, but none dared to speak up. At first, Marisol shook her head, brushing off the cruel taunt. But Travis wasn't done. He strutted toward her, chest puffed out, goading the crowd to cheer louder. "Come on, one round. Or are you afraid you'll spill more than you clean?" His words stung not because they were true, but because they were said in front of her daughter Sophia, who had stopped by after school and was now standing at the corner of the gym, her young eyes wide with humiliation. Marisol's heart tightened. She had spent her whole life teaching Sophia to stand tall, to never let anyone shame her into silence. How could she walk away now? She placed the mop against her cart and stepped forward, the sound of her sneakers echoing softly against the mat. The laughter quieted, replaced by murmurs of disbelief. Travis smirked, confident that this would be just another joke to add to his highlight reel. Gloves were tossed her way, but she shook her head and raised her hands bare. The crowd grew restless, phones raised to capture what they assumed would be an embarrassing defeat. But Marisol's past held secrets no one at Titan Combat Center knew. Before her life turned into cleaning shifts and unpaid bills, she had been a boxer. Back in her early 20s, Marisol trained under the Golden Gloves program, competing fiercely, driven by dreams that once burned bright. But when life demanded sacrifices, she gave up the ring for the responsibilities of motherhood. Still, the skills, the instincts, the fire, they never left her. As the sparring bell rang, Travis charged forward with mocking slaps and playful jabs. He expected her to flinch, to stumble, to provide entertainment for the crowd. But Marisol didn't flinch. She planted her feet firmly, eyes sharp, reading his movements. The same instincts that once carried her through tournaments came alive in her veins. She waited, patient as stone, for just the right moment. Then it came. Travis dropped his guard, laughing mid-swing. In one swift motion, Marisol's body turned, her shoulder rotated, and her fist shot forward with perfect precision. The sound of her knuckles connecting with his jaw cracked through the gym like thunder. In a single breathtaking second, Travis collapsed onto the mat. His grin erased, his body sprawled motionless. The crowd erupted, some in shock, others in awe. Phones that were recording for mockery now captured history. Sophia's eyes brimmed with tears, but this time they weren't from shame. They were from pride. She rushed forward, hugging her mother tightly, whispering, "Mom, you're amazing." For a long moment, Marisol stood over the stunned silence of the gym, breathing hard, her fists still clenched. She wasn't just a janitor, wasn't just a woman cleaning up after other people's battles. She was a fighter, a survivor, a mother who refused to bow her head. The story of that knockout spread far beyond the walls of Titan Combat Center. The video went viral, reaching millions of screens. People across the world celebrated the courage of an everyday worker who reminded them that greatness isn't worn on a belt or announced with a title. It lives quietly in people like Marisol, waiting for the right moment to shine. From that day on, no one at the gym laughed at her again. Some approached her with apologies, others with newfound respect. For Sophia, it was the greatest lesson she could ever witness, that strength is not about size or status, but about standing up when it matters most. Life didn't magically become easy for Marisol. The bills still came. The nights were still long, but something had changed inside her. She no longer saw herself as invisible. She had shown her daughter and the world that dignity and strength could never be mopped away. If this story touched your heart, please show your support by liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing to Kindness Corner. Stories like Marisol's deserve to be remembered because they remind us of the hidden heroes we walk past every day. And before you go, tell us in the comments, do you believe true strength comes from the heart more than from training? We'd love to hear your thoughts. In the bright daylight of that unforgettable afternoon, the Titan Combat Center learned that sometimes the most powerful punch doesn't come from the strongest fighter. It comes from the quiet soul who has carried the heaviest burdens all along.